right? Whether it's freestyle and Greco. You know, youth wrestling structured a little differently than it was when I grew up. You know, I know it's just kind of a swear word in this room, but I grew up in a club that was, we wrestled AAU all over the state of Montana. It was all freestyle and Greco. Couldn't find a folk style match. If you tried, couldn't find one. And it's a lot different now. So tactically, there's some really important things. And so to kind of steal some terminology from gymnastics, I talk, these are compulsory positions, right? Compulsory positions like a floor routine or a beam or whatever. You must have these elements in your program, right? Well, there's a lot of those in international wrestling that are compulsories, that we know. It doesn't matter if I'm a low single guy or I'm a blast double guy or I'm an arm throw guy or I'm a head pass guy. I'm going to encounter this tactic or this scenario, and how are we going to apply our skills to that and be successful? How am I going to win when I get forced into this, right? And we always talk about, you know, Coach Gable, when I was at Iowa, talked about forcing our style. That doesn't mean physical force. It means, like, are you the puppet master? Can you produce the scenario that makes you successful? And internationally, we're going to be put in these scenarios. We're going to be forced by the rule set, by the officials, by our tactics of our opponent. And so the big influencer is from 2013 until now. The biggest change is the edge of the mat. Right? Well, it goes further back than 2013, I guess. That was maybe 2004, 5, right? When the rules changed. It was 2 out of 3 periods, and the rules changed to add the step out. Right? So what that did tactically is it forced all the pressure to the middle of the mat. It's you say your name is Rob? Yeah. Rob. Okay. Rob's my partner. So if Rob and I are wrestling and he's better than I am, I mean, it doesn't matter who knows, but typically when you step on the mat, you have an idea, right? You have an idea. Well, we're evenly matched, or he might be a little better than me, and I'm going to have to really, like, in a folk style match, and this isn't to be critical of folk style, it's just reality. If he's better than me, I'm going to circle here, and then I'm going to circle here, and I'm going to park myself in the circle. Not with my back to it, because that makes me look passive. Parallel. And then he shoots, I kick out, turn in. He's trying to pull me back in, I'm trying to pull him out, but not look like I'm pulling him out. There's 20 seconds of time that gets wasted where there's no score possible, or very little possible. In freestyle, if I do that, he's going to blow me out of bounds, or international wrestling, freestyle or Greco, right? If he's better than me, I have no business being over here. I have to be here, right? This is my safest spot. So then it forces me to be bent over and have head position. Okay. The second thing that impacts this at a high level, that when I understood it as a competitor, I thought it was a little bit, oh wow, that's interesting. That this thing that seems like it's a long way away from this impacts this. Is exposure. Because in folk style, he can hit me with the double leg. I'll fall on my back, spaghetti roll, leg pass, and I can stalemate it or maybe even come out of it or even score on it. Freestyle international wrestling, I'm bleeding points. I can't do that. So I have to, not only do I have to be bent over in that head position, but I have to be able to deal tactically with his stuff, whatever that stuff may be, right? So that gets us into this basic down blocking, using my hips. If I let him beat my head, shoulders, and chest is my first line of defense, not my hands. If my hands are my defense, I'm in trouble. Because once he beats them, you do this, and then it's all but over, right? So it's about here, being here, and I can change elevation. I have an angle and elevation that is superior to his, right? And it becomes so important. Head position becomes so important, definitely supersedes a good stance. I don't really need my knees bent a whole bunch if I can get my head in the way. Then I can do this at least. Right? So those things really important, and they impact a lot of our other wrestling. Okay, so first one is, well, before I get to that, first one I'm going to talk about is center of the mat shot clock scenario, right? The 1 meter circle. And the way UWW values that 1 meter as superior real estate. If he can control that, it doesn't matter how active I am, and we've seen that. I always kind of talk about Burroughs as an example because we're Americans and we all love Jordan, right? And we've all seen Russell, and we know he's out there moving the ball and leaving, especially, you know, you think 2012, 2013, 2014, in those years, and we know he's the more active guy, but he got put on the clock all the time. You look at his 2013 World Championships. I think I can't remember now. I should have looked it up before teaching here, but he was on the clock in 5 matches. He was on the clock like 6 or 8 times maybe. He was on the clock first in every match. At this point, I don't even recall if any of his opponents were put on the clock. Back then, I kind of liked it because it lit a fire under him. Boom, okay, put him on the clock. Go ahead. Right? But all this tactics impacts that. Right? If he can hold that ground, that head position, then he doesn't have to do anything. Right? Just hold the ground. So that's really important tactic. How are we going to apply our skill set to that scenario? Another really important one is obviously the edge of the map, the step out. Okay, I don't like to call it push out, but you know, sometimes I think semantics are important, and this is one of those cases. What I learned, I didn't like that rule when it was first implemented. I was an athlete. It was way before 13. It was like 2005, I think. And everybody was saying, great, okay, it's just going to be sumo. We're going to be pushing people. Not so. Thought that, because it's a very simple outlook. What's going to happen? Okay, just push me out, get points. What we learned after I became the national coach, or was on staff, I guess, wasn't the head coach, started doing some statistical analytics. In the first quad of the step out rule, you average, this is 2 out of 3 period matches, you averaged almost 2 points per match by step out. 1.9 points per match. By the end of that quad, it was 0.9. So what that tells me is that athletes who are competitive and want to win, they adjust really fast. And that statistic is about the same today. Okay, it fluctuates on a given year, but it's no macro adjustment. It's never been averaged 3 points one year and 1 the next. It's like 0.6 or 0.7 up to 0.9. I can't even think of a year that it's gone over 1. So athletes adapt really quickly, right? If I get close to the edge, I learn how to get my head position, I learn how to get my hips down. And all those things, all the tactical implication is our control ties. How do I make contact with this guy and take control to implement what I want to do, right? What my style is. So we try to have a very open-minded approach to technique and tactics and assets, skills. What do you do? Let's bring them all to bear, right? Like I don't want to, a great way to talk about it. I always felt Coach Gable was like, well, you have to evaluate what it's giving you and what it's costing you. And some guys are like, okay, my best thing is a double leg. Okay, well, do you know that? Tell me why you know that. Well, because I shoot a lot of double legs and I score points with double legs. Okay, well, how many? So when Coach Burnett was the head coach, he asked me to solve this problem for one of our Olympic champions that is coaching now. And well, I could probably use his name because I don't mind
I
embarrassing.
did this yesterday, Joe, so I think it's going to be the same person.
So he said his number 1 skill was a single leg. So, okay. He goes, I want you to break this down. You tell me, is he right? So I evaluated all the matches I could find. This was in 11. No, it was not. The matches from 2011. This was in 2015. He shot 23 single legs catches that I evaluated, he scored on 5, he got scored on 3 times. So 8 of them were scored, 3 against him, 5 for him. The next highest skill was double legs. He shot 5 and he scored on 5. And so those are the kind of things like, well, yeah, you think you're a single leg guy, but maybe you don't know what you're a double leg guy. And so, but these rule implications impact those tactics, right? Whether, how do I make contact? So in the last year or so, 2 years, we've been talking about disrupting and distracting. Okay, so Yazdani type wrestler, Yazdani and David, one of the premier matchups in the world. We know Yazdani he's got 2 main tactics. He clubs head and digs, or he paws. He paws, he paws, he paws, and digs underhook. So of course we're going to learn how to clear underhooks. Then we're going to learn how to prevent underhooks from coming in. But then the disrupt and distract is about going after the paw. And what we've learned is that if he doesn't have the paw, there is no underhook. Right? So instead of thinking kind of deficit thinking like, okay, I'm gonna learn how to, we spend a lot of time doing this, so I don't want you to think that we don't. We clear a lot of underhooks from the zone. We clear a lot of underhooks from the middle. And just culturally or psychologically, I learned really quick, okay, we're gonna clear underhooks, and everybody is like doing this and windmilling out and backing away. And because our athletes are competitors, I gave them a proactive thing. I'm like, okay, we're gonna clear to offense. I'm gonna get my elbow low, so I'm not fighting him where he's strong. I get elbow to elbow down here where his elbow's weak. I'm gonna circle 2. So, not to really get into this, but the first thing, number 1 priority in all of our sport, head position. So I'm gonna do 3 things at once. I'm gonna drop my hips, I'm gonna pop and create space so I get head position, and I'm gonna get my elbow low on his elbow. I'm doing all those at the same time. They're not sequenced, not 1, 2, 3, it's all right now. So, because if he's an underhook guy, and the reason, if he's an underhook guy, and I push away and I windmill out, really good underhook people are just gonna run through you. Run you right out of bounds. You know, they'll take, if they're a Greco guy, they'll run you out 8 times. Happy to do so. Freestyle, they'll run you out 10 times. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that this doesn't work, but it's in its application. Okay, so I'm gonna go here. This is 1, and then I'm gonna start circling to clear this, right? And we're gonna do that. Sorry. Yeah, you can hurt the partners. We do a lot of that in the center. We do a lot of it in the zone. I like to start with our guys' feet in the zone, 1 foot, 2 foot, 2 feet in the zone, and then he's got the underhook. Okay, I'm gonna get him the best position possible, because I know our guys are good. They're good athletes, right? The girls, they're good athletes. Okay, give them that trust and let them figure this out. Okay, sometimes they're gonna go this way, sometimes they're gonna go this way, sometimes it's a combination of the 2. I'll go this way, thumb block, and extend and circle my elbow back in, and then to offense. When I gave them the offense, it changed dramatically. Because they're thinking forward instead of backwards. They're thinking attack instead of flee. And I'm not sure to get way. It's a game, right? It's a game. Because this isn't life and death. I'm trying to, take the guy's life. Maybe his livelihood a little bit. At this level, it's pretty serious stuff. But because it's a game, and I can shake his hand and walk out and buy him a milkshake, I can be the stingiest human being in the world inside this circle. And inside the circle, we should have the mentality that I get everything and he gets nothing. And then afterwards, we'll make amends if that's possible. So here, offense. Here, okay, I get it loose and sloppy, and maybe I'm not gaining the ground. I can thumb block and extend, re-pummel my elbow back to the side, and then I can do whatever my skills are. Take control, own the position first, then offense. One of the biggest mistakes that we make in this kind of like strategizing with our practice positions is getting halfway out of trouble and diving back into it. Okay, some really good stuff. A lot of athletes that are really good at circling here and then doing this kind of sweep to the far side as you're clearing underhooks. Love it. Think it's really good. Make sure you own the position first. And that comes with thousands of repetitions and knowing where you're at. If I'm down here on his elbow where he's weak and it's loose and sloppy, I can maybe knee pull. Inside, I can swim, duck, high crotch, double, fireman's carry, whatever. I can far side sweep. Here, all of those things become available. If I'm 3 inches too high, none of them. Very few and very little, and only if he's flawed. So that takes repetition. That takes a lot of practice, right? You guys all know that. So that becomes, this makes that more important. More important. So I start here, we develop our skill. Here we learn how to clear, we learn how to clear to our offense, boom, and then we increase the level of resistance, just like anything else we do, right? You teach your beginners, a lot of times you don't have a partner. I teach them stance and motion, penetration step, and then you get a partner. And then you teach them stance and motion and penetration with a partner. And then you teach them stance and motion with a partner that's trying to defend you. So we increase our level. In this case, the resistance isn't physical pressure, it's figurative pressure. It's the pressure that the tactical edge of the mat creates. And for me to effectively get to the middle faster, I need I hope this is not too wordy. I feel like it is, but I guess I'm limited intellectually, so I have to be long-winded. So for me to I gotta get low, right? Like a sports car. I gotta get low and wide so I can turn corners fast, right? I'm not trying to, if Rob, if he just circles, if I try to circle to get back to the middle, he's just gonna cut a straight line on me. And the geometry of the mat dictates he's gonna win, because I step out of the circle before he does. So I'm not trying to just sneak up on circling back in. I gotta drop my hips, I gotta trade places fast. And we gotta learn that that's a priority, okay? And for me to do that, I have to have power to the ground. And for me to have power to the ground, I have to have my center of gravity low. Boom, here, change places. Maybe it's juke one way, change places the other. Okay. Not gonna debate technique because I love technique and I think it all works in its application, right? I think if we master the fundamentals, then the tricks that we have in our bag and in our pocket become more viable. If we go to tricks first, we've eliminated fundamentals. If this guy's mastered fundamentals and I go tricks, I might be in trouble. If I go here and start breaking things down, I might smack his head and change directions. I don't like to come up. I think we do this a lot. All of us do it. Our best guys do that. And we just try to remind them, keep your head in position. Keep head position. Okay, here's what you're doing. You're digging an underhook and you're coming here. Your head's coming up when you dig the underhook. It's not good for you. It's good for him. Okay? Maybe we'll get into the outside step swim stuff towards the end. Really important stuff, good stuff. So, edge of the mat. Clearing 2-on-1s, or clearing underhooks, clearing 2-on-1s, clearing wrist highs. Wrist highs, double wrist, baseball grip where you got 2-on-1, down low. All these things, to me, the most important factors that I can give you for all of them are the same. Reestablish head position as quickly as possible. Be in motion and get my hips low, or get my hips back. Because there is a point at which low is too low, right? I can't move anymore, that's too low. Okay? If he gets too low, instead of trying to shoot underneath that, we're gonna beat his head down, snap downs, go behind, that kind of stuff, right? So we don't wanna put ourselves in, but, you know, speaking pretty general terms. 2-on-1, same concept. Hips down and in, not like this, down and in, you know, I'm gonna go elbow in his armpit, but I'm not going like that in his armpit. I'm close to my body where I'm strong. And then I'm gonna start attacking here. As soon as I get loose, I wanna get out of there. I wanna clear it and win the score, right? Win the score. We wanna analyze really our whole career. If we oversimplify, comes down to a string of situation battles. How do we do in those battles? Just put them together, right? Take them one at a time when we're learning, when we don't know something. I was talking with Coach earlier. You know, I've been told, I probably told you, probably shouldn't do that. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It means you shouldn't do it at this moment. You should go back and learn it. And that's what I learned from those coaches I mentioned at the beginning, Father, and Mark Sprague, many others. Learn it, master it. If you get beat with something or you're not successful with something, figure out why. Why didn't this work? Well, you're a really good double leg guy, you're fast, you're quick, powerful, but you shot it from 18 feet away. Well, unless you're the world record long jumper, you're not getting it. Okay, so space management, angle, elevation, those things matter, and they matter more in these tactical scenarios. Any questions, or is this too simple? Is it too dumbed down? You guys like it?
So when you're attacking the underhook, are you trying to get as low to that elbow as you can before you come to that inside?
I'm kind of doing both. I don't want to get too extended. You know, like just biomechanically speaking, we're strong when we're vertical and we're compact, right? So the further I get extended, the weaker I become, and we humans are such a paradox. And our sport of wrestling exposes it so dramatically. We are like electricity, right? The easiest path. We always are looking for the easiest. I'm not passing judgment on us being lazy. I'm lazy. I'll promise you, I am lazy. I always want the easiest way. And so,
not the easiest, the most effective.
yeah, there you go. But here, if I'm not down to that elbow and I start, this can still be effective. But now we're talking like real nitpicky. What's the difference? Well, really the difference is him. Is this guy any good? Because if he's no good, I can probably do this. If he's really good, I probably won't be able to. And so I always talk about trying to get down to the weakest part of the arm, because that helps me do this, right? And which makes me think of something when we're pulling, when we're maybe contracting, or pulling, I guess, is maybe better. It's very common to pull things to us. And again, wrestling is a paradox. When we're wrestling, I don't want to pull him to me. I want to pull me to that, to it, to him, to them. And the reason I'm using very general terms is because, I have very strong philosophical thinking. When we shoot leg attacks, we're always like, we've said it, you've said it, I've said it, all of our senior guys have said it. Well, I can get to his leg anytime I want to. Okay? Well, getting the legs is nice, but what does it get you? Nothing. Zero. So we need to reframe our perspective. I want to wrestle to the score. I'm wrestling for the points, not the leg. So when I get to the leg, that's a nice place, but I don't want to stop there. And if we focus on the leg only as the destination, I pull that leg to me. What happens is I stop moving. I have this unbelievable high crotch, and I hit and I stop. That doesn't get me to the point. It just gets me to the leg. And in the same way here, I don't want to extend, I don't want to change course until I got to completion. Right? When I've cleared this thing, now I can start changing. Right? And for me, You know, I'm a high crotch guy on this side and a sweep single here. He's in a terrible spot, right? If we started every match like this, right, it's like laughable. Boom, I'm going right to it, and I'm going through him. I'm not trying to grab that leg and pull it back out this way, because that's where he reaches down and grabs my foot. If I was wrestling with Welsh, we'd be all over that thing, right? We'd be standing there holding each other's foot, and I'd look like a real idiot. He's probably better than me in there. I'm here, and I'm going forward and into where the points are. Into where the points are. Right here, maybe I'm not quite taking a point yet, but they're not too far off, so I'm moving in, down and in. Now I know I should speak very gingerly when I talk about Greco. There's a lot of good Greco coaches, our national coach in the room, but I wrestled a fair amount of Greco as a kid, and up through high school, I was decent, had a good understanding. This is a scary thing, and when we're afraid, we get away. Again, another human paradox. We want space. Whew. And it's exactly wrong. I gotta go in that moment. I have to go in. If I'm here, and I'm in trouble, and I'm in the zone, I can't go away. I have to go down and in. I gotta buy ground. I gotta get there somehow. And I gotta get my power under me. I have to be vertical, even when I'm squatted, when I'm bent at the back. Okay, vertical orientation, really important. That's how we scramble. That's how we win scrambles. Right? I'm down here, guy's trying to sit in a corner and just lock me, or he's trying to crotch lift me. If I bend over like this and hang on, man, I'm just playing right into his hand. So when he starts doing that, I gotta keep my hips under me. Even down here, I'm all the way down on my knees, but I'm still vertical. And that's where I can twist, pivot, move, adjust more effectively. And that doesn't change. It's more exaggerated on our feet. More exaggerated. So,
Hey, Bill,
yeah.
would you show everyone how to come out the back door with that high crotch
Oh,
when he turns the
I
corner?
could. That's really not tactically where we're going.
Oh,
Maybe at the
alright.
end I'll jump on that. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, same deal though. My hips are under me. He starts sitting in the corner, I'm like beating. There, come up the back. I drop my hips, scoot in. Same paradox. Instead of going away, down and in. Power's under me. I can lift easily. You can hear it in my voice. I'm fat, slow, and out of shape. I'm not grunt very hard. I can speak pretty clearly. It's that. What was Mike calling it? Relaxed tension. I was like Fred Flintstone. I had it all up here, and then I relaxed that tension. For about 10 years. Okay, so that philosophy of solving the problems, analyzing where we're at, being proactive. Can I dominate the center of the mat? I don't want to get into this too much, but I think it's important for me to at least preface is in the middle of the mat, we're fighting for that 1 meter circle tactically. It doesn't mean I have to grab the guy. I'm not going to squeeze his head off. It can be movement. It can be angles. It can be fakes. So this is physical pressure. This is figurative pressure. Since he's kind of the man of the moment, I'll talk about Coach Smith. John Smith was in the peak of his career when I was a high school kid. He was somebody that he was exciting, he's fun to watch. And he's taken our sport to a new level, for sure. But he's a high pressure guy. I think there was an article or an interview. I was watching all these interviews and stuff here recently with his retirement. And I was thinking of an interview where somebody, maybe 5-6 years ago, didn't have the greatest year or the greatest event. I can't even remember specifically. I've been Googling trying to find it. And the interviewer, of course, for those of you that have been around John, you know he's pretty sharp-witted guy. Interviewer says, "Are you feeling any pressure?" Talking about his team performance, wherever it was. And he kind of almost, I think, was going to answer, and he kind of took a like a double take. He goes, "I don't feel pressure. I apply pressure." Right? And I kind of laughed and chuckled because people have been around and he's like, that's consummate competitor, right? No. So his pressure is different than this. It's boom, John, I mean, the low single, right? It's like the Burroughs double leg. Everybody knows the double leg. Everybody knows the low single. Jordan scores more single legs than double legs. The double leg starts it, but it's like boom, 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 boom. The 6th, the 7th, the 18th, he maybe starts with the double leg, but he just peppers away and the angles change and he ends up finishing. A lot of single legs. John, everybody's scared of the low single. 2 best setups are the nose grab and the knee pad. He's bobbing and weaving here, grabbing his nose. And nobody ever knew if he was coming and going. So they grab on the hold, elbow tie, boom. Level change, high C. #1 scoring position. So that's figurative pressure. Because he's not putting hands on those people. Maybe a little bit, popping, moving head, taking an angle, boom. You get somebody biting like that, they're in trouble. You get somebody biting like that, that's how that applies to a wrestling now, is this 1 meter circle. That's how I apply that pressure. If I'm a control guy, I get my hands on him. Kyle Snyder, he's gonna grab somebody. He's evolved. Different than when he was 19. And he was grabbing people, ankle picking, hitting those singles. Now he grabs them differently. He's gonna get his hands on them. David's gonna get his hands on them differently than Kyle. Dake's gonna move them and get his hands on them differently. Jordan Burroughs is gonna do his thing. Motion, pop, bob, weave. He's going to get his hands on them differently, but they all apply to this tactical position element of, hey, how do I dictate? Well, the way we say it is disrupt and dictate. I'm going to disrupt his rhythm. Right? If I'm David, I'm disrupting Yazdani's rhythm. I'm disrupting the paw or the club head. And then I'm going to dictate where wrestling happens. Okay? So once I've disrupted his rhythm, and I'm not chasing it, that was actually bad. When I'm talking about getting hands on people, closing the gap, we don't want to reach, we don't want to extend. I've talked about that. So what are we going to do? Well, I'm going to get close, and I'm going to engage low with very little extension. Usually trail leg, right? Simple basics, right here. We don't often think of this. This is very effective. He's not going to jump out of his skin, but he's not afraid. That's why it's effective. Because I'm doggone dangerous if I'm that close. Pop, elbow and below, maybe bicep. Okay? We do this. Kenny Monday really great at this kind of stuff. Popping, pop smack. It's okay too. I like that. Jordan Burroughs, early in his career, I would watch him. He has a terrible stance. Rounded at the back. He's like up way higher. He's a foot higher than his opponent. But what the beginner doesn't see is the years of work and the mastery that came with that position. What I mean by that is very deceptive, because Jordan knows his own body more and better than any of us. No matter how much video I could study, he feels things that I can't see. So he's been across from a guy often enough that he can stand up high and he knows, well, this guy can close the gap at this rate, and I can change my level at a rate much higher than that. And that's what he does a lot. feel baiting. You stand up here, this guy's down low, they're doing this 3-point stance and all this garbage. It's total stalling. I hate it. And then the guy shoots, and Jordan can get down, and he'll either go straight head to head with him, right? We've all seen that a couple times. Or pop, boom, pass elbow, ankle pick, last throw, or use that to create some kind of opportunity, right? So this one I'm talking about, if he's down here and he shoots, of course the blast is really easy, but he might pop, boom, boom here, pick an ankle, and the guy's trying to run away, and he runs this down, whether it becomes a blast double or a single leg go hunt or whatever. But your kid is saying, hey coach, Will's got a terrible stance, man. He's this high. Well, yeah, but he's that fast. And he has that many hours in that position and knows. He's felt it so many times. So, you know, we like simple answers, and I want to give clear answers, but sometimes the old phraseology, there's levels to this, there are levels to this. We're going to see that in this next couple of minutes, right? So, this front headlock stuff, really important right now. Well, it's really important all the time. We put a concerted effort in it over the last year. We're going to continue. Anytime this guy ends up on his knees in front of me, I see this a lot. Okay, whether I've snapped him down or he shoots, you know, I've down blocked, and we end up here. A lot of times we'll do this because this is secure. I can define where he's at in space. I got to hold this sucker. Yep, I do, and he's got a hold of me too. So if I'm trying to get over here to the points, it gets tougher because I'm so tied in there. Okay, so first and foremost, just change our ideology to a position or philosophy of when this guy's on his knees, I'm going to take advantage of it. If he's on his knees in front of me, I'm going to score points. I'm going to score points. I'm going to score points. If you watch the greatest wrestlers of all times in their big matches, Uvizar Saitiev, John, Jordan, all the guys in this tournament, guys at the NCAA tournament, guys at the state tournament, you would be blown away at the statistical relevance of how many times a medal match is decided